We're here today with Mark Thompson, Managing Director of Talga Resources. Mark, thanks for your time.
Cheers, David.
PFS out, milestone moment. What are some of the highlights?
Well, there's some financial highlights, and I guess, of course, for the company is the value of the project getting defined a bit better, also on such a small amount of tonnes and a narrow part of our product base. So the project turns out to have an NPV of over $1 billion Australian, based on only the mining of 100,000 tonnes up at Vittangi. And I guess the new part of it is the anode refinery itself. So we actually have made a value add decision to have our own anode product called Talnode C, which is a fully coated product ready to go to market included as well. So this boosts the revenue. So the product cost is under $2,000 a tonne, and the pricing of that product is over $11,000 a tonne. And this means that you're doing annual revenue in full-scale production of just over US 200, about 210 US million per year. So it's a very high-performance financial result by making that investment in both the refinery as well as the mine, and also that investment in the technology behind doing the value add, which is where most of the margins are in anode material. So you end up with a project with a two-stage capital build to keep those costs down, and then the refinery, and then you have a product that's perfectly suited for what the market wants right now, in a beautiful vertically integrated package that's got a small footprint because it's a very high grade project, and it can all be built in Sweden, which is a great place to operate from for these growing mega factories, mega battery factories in Europe.
Investors may be surprised to see no graphene in the PFS.
Yep, it just wasn't of the scale and wasn't of the pricing definition required to go into a project like this. But it's still under development. And basically the plan is that when it's big enough, when it's too big for Germany, we will add the modules to the refinery, and we're allowing for room, and we've even done some engineering on that so that the graphene production can shift to Sweden in the future. Not only for the industrial products, but also because the battery products themselves in future, our Talnode silica product, for example, that actually requires graphene to work. So it's coming along, it's just not needing to be there. And of course, it's a very robust, strong, very deliverable project, the way it is, just being based on lithium-ion anodes. This is the fastest way to get into that decent revenue for the company.
So talking of the end product itself,
yep,
for investors to understand, this isn't about giving a solution to another manufacturer or another manufacturer or another manufacturer who will then put the product into the battery. You've actually put the product, or will put the product, into the battery.
Normally the process of a graphite deposit or a graphite mine is to make a concentrate, and that concentrate gets sold to someone that reprocesses it and processes it and gets sold onto a series of processes. And the final stages are where there's usually proprietary surface treatments coming in, and then eventually it's sold. So that would be by a company like Hitachi, for example, would have a final anode product being sold. What we've decided to do is capture that margin for ourselves. So we've already been doing a vertically integrated model from the mine and processing to our graphene products, and now we're doing it for the battery product as well. And it means that Talnode C, our flagship anode product, is a fully coated, surface treated product, the equivalent of what a battery maker would have or would buy, directly without any other middlemen. So in that way, we capture all that value for Talga and have those higher margins and very high financial performance. And frankly, the customers we've been speaking to that are building the mega battery factories in Europe, that's what they need. They don't want material to travel from, doesn't matter if it's Australia or Africa or South America or Sweden, and go to Asia to be reprocessed to come back again. If you can supply a one-stop shop for the final product for them, that's of demand.
Can you talk us through the capex of the project, and importantly, how you're going to finance it?
What we've done is starting the project, getting it up and running, the mine and the processing going at a certain scale, which then produces about 5,000 tonnes of anode material, and that can be engaged with customers, sold to customers. And at that point, your options for financing the rest of it become more open, shall we say. So that for early stage, the 27 million is a very doable number in various ways. With customers, with off-takers, with interested parties, with funds that are interested in that supply chain. Could be project level finance, nothing to do with the equity in the company. But there are a lot of options that open up once you've got that up and running for the second stage. So we don't expect it to be entirely vanilla like equity debt. The product is under high demand, so we think we're going to be able to do some really proactive and fiscally advantageous deals for Talga.
And how is this project different to others?
Well, the vertical integration, I think. Also, the fact that we can make the size of the mine very small because it's so high grade that we can have very small footprint. It's only 100,000 tonne a year. So it's also making, therefore, a very specific amount of anode material, so product. So rather than going for sheer scale, it's actually going for very targeted amounts that won't damage the pricing or the market. Having said that, there's plenty of room to grow. The current resource is about 12 million tonnes, and we're only using 2 million tonnes roughly of that in the ore reserve. So there's plenty of room to expand.
And what happens next?
So we continue to work on improving these numbers. We sort of see this as just the start for the project, being the PFS. We've still got some radical improvements we think we can bring to the OPEX by exploring some other processing techniques like thermal purification, which we've done some work on, but it's not quite ready to be included yet. That'll have a radical benefit using the low CO2 and the low-cost power up there in Sweden. Of course, we also want to produce more material for customers. So we're in the process of ramping up the scale of our material production right now in the battery anode material for Talnode C and increasing the interaction with customers, which will give us those project development opportunities and the off-takes and things that we will need for financing the project going forward.
Exciting times ahead for Talga. Mark, thanks for your time.
Thanks, David. Pleasure.